Hello, 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 Keisha. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us about the precious prize. And I'm so thankful that you were talking about travel because you
Yes.
traveled, as a company executive extensively out of the country for business as well as international trips for your family. So before we get started, I want to say welcome.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I don't know if you can see my well-worn copy of the Precious Prize. So
Oh,
speaking of
thank you.
travel, this copy has been with me across country and
Wow.
back. So
Wow.
that's why it looks a little loved, but glad to be here today.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Well, let's just jump right on into the title,
Mhm.
to the topic of travel. Joya and a few others traveled to beautiful places. So I want to know, from just even from what we saw from the book, and then from what you know about travel, how can travel help us during difficult times?
Yeah. It's interesting. Travel is so transformative, right? You take yourself out of your normal everyday life and you're experiencing new sights, new sounds, new smells. It wakens up all of your senses. And one of the things I loved about reading in the Precious Prize and about Joya's travels was how descriptive it was, right? And you captured what it must have felt like to be early in your career and to travel internationally. And frankly, as a business traveler, sometimes the loneliness that comes with travel, while it's exciting and it's great to be somewhere, and I always joke that people think it's glamorous when they hear how much I travel. Sometimes there is a little bit of loneliness, or where am I today?
Mm.
Or you do little things to make yourself feel at home. So I loved how in the character's development, we saw the excitement of being somewhere new. Now, I personally, I stay a lot at Ritz-Carlton's, but now I have to go to the Ritz-Carlton in London because I want to retrace Joyous steps. So you see all the excitement and the wonder, but you also get some of the feeling a little bit out of place and having to make your own place. And for me, I love travel because again, it's awakening all of your senses, but it takes you out of your normal everyday. And so I know there's been times when I felt overwhelmed or there's a lot of things on my to-do list, and just the act of sitting by the window, watching yourself lift up above the clouds, and your city is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I've often felt, wait, my problems, my list of things that was worrying me as the plane lifts up and the buildings are getting smaller, a lot of times the things that seemed huge and insurmountable, you get to see them from a different perspective and they look smaller as well. And I really enjoyed seeing that.
Greatest advantage of travel for us then?
I really believe the greatest advantage is taking yourself out of just thinking about yourself and what's going on and seeing how other people live, seeing just, I like, this is going to sound crazy, but I like even just seeing how different airports run, how do different countries and communities move a lot of people through a short space. I like seeing the customs, right? When I travel internationally as an American, I like to have my bubble, my personal space,
Yeah.
and you'll go other places and people come get right next to you. And I love that because you take those same ideas or thoughts and experiences, and to me, it helps give you some empathy
Mm.
when you're dealing with other people. So
Mhm.
just like if I'd never gone anywhere, never left, my town, my square block, maybe I wouldn't know that in other countries, it's not rude to have someone get on the train and press close to you.
Okay.
And so if you're dealing with someone or trying to minister with someone or working with someone or even having a friendship with someone of a different culture or from a different area, some things that might take you make you step back because you've traveled, it can open your eyes to have some empathy and say, well, wait a minute, I'm taking it this way, but maybe how the person means it is another way.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I think that travel does is just stimulates your intellectual curiosity. I always want to know. I love tasting the foods of different places that I go, and you start asking, well, why do you cook that way? Why do you eat that way? And the precious prize, joyous family goes to Hilton Head. Well, my family likes to go to Hilton Head, and
Wow.
we love to eat the Low Country boil. And then you start asking people, well, why is this the food you eat? Why are these the ingredients in a Low Country boil as opposed to something else? And you start learning about, well, this is what is indigenous to this area.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what people can gather. We usually eat it at this time of year because things are in season then. So that intellectual curiosity and that empathy together is just such a powerful thing to take in other parts of your life as well.
Hmm. But let me ask you this: isn't the change of scenery, though, in travel, a form of running away from our problems?
It's interesting because I'm an avid reader. So before this is part of my answer, but there's a reason why I'm going to take you down this route. I'm an avid reader, and there has been times in my life, even as a child, let's say, I wanted to take myself someplace else. I wanted to run away from maybe it's a cold, rainy, overcast day, and you can pick up a book and lose yourself in a book. And so while it might be a overcast and rainy Tuesday where you live, you get so engrossed in the book that you can run away that way. So I don't necessarily think that just travel is a way to run away from problems. I see travel as a blessing to give you perspective on your
Oh.
problem. So that same perspective, as I said, watching an airplane lift up and see the city get smaller, and it makes you think that your problems get smaller.
Mm-hmm.
That same perspective when you go see how other people are living. And we're blessed to be in this country. And a lot of places you'll go somewhere and the things that you take for granted here in the United States, maybe you don't see other places. Or you think, hey, we're doing all right. We've got great things here. And you go to another country or another place and their infrastructure is better than where you live. So it gives you kind of a different perspective on things. So I don't think it's a running away. It's an opportunity to look at your life and what you're going through a different lens or a different perspective.
Wow. Well, I like that. Well, this time has flown by. I just have one more question to ask you. When we travel internationally, and you've hit on some of this already, how does it affect our worldview?
Yeah, it makes the world a little smaller, right? So even though I've talked a lot about the
Mm.
differences, whether it's different foods or different customs or different cultures, but you also see that it's no matter where people live and what environment they in, people are trying to make the best life for themselves and their families possible. So it gives you that other perspective that yes, in some ways we're very different, but at the core, everywhere you go, there's music. Everywhere you go, there's art.
Mhm.
Everywhere you go, there's worship. Everywhere you go, we have the same, sun and moon and stars. And so while there's differences, I love when I come back someplace to say how many things are similar. This summer, I had the blessing to take my family on a cruise, and we went to 4 places in Greece. And now I understand the joke. It's literally Greek to me because in other countries, you can kind of pick up what people were saying. The alphabet was the same, the letters were the same. When we got to Greece, it's a whole different alphabet. And you're listening and you're trying to find the root word, and the root word is not the same. It's literally Greek to you. But you see families out having picnics. You see mom and dad and siblings and grandma. You see people working. My daughter plays volleyball. She met someone who's also going to college in Greece playing volleyball. And they talked about it by pantomiming the different moves that they make playing
Wow.
volleyball. And they quickly figured out, nope, we're not talking about basketball. We're talking about volleyball. And I share that to say that in all of the travels, a place that was literally so different, it's literally Greek to me, you see these commonalities. And that's just so wonderful about travel. At the same time, it's transformative, but you also really get to see here's some things about the human condition
Mhm.
that we all have in common, no matter where you are.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to give you the final say as we wrap up. I thank you for being one of the 12, and I'm just so excited about our various topics that came up in the book. And then I'm so excited about the travel piece because, like you, I enjoy traveling, and I'm
Mhm.
so happy about that part of the precious prize. So let me
Yeah.
give you the final words as I thank you again for sharing your thoughts with us.
Yes, well, thank you. I have to say, for anyone watching this who hasn't read The Precious Prize, I would encourage you to read it, especially if you're hearing us talk about travel and you like travel. So, there's physical places that the characters go to in the book, but there's also a spiritual journey. There's mental places. You see growth for this character as well. And I loved seeing the parallel between getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, how our main character went internationally, lived in a couple of different places, and had to build a life. But also, so there's the physical part of that, but then there's also the mental and emotional journey that she went on as well. So I would recommend this to anyone who loves to travel, who loves to read about places that maybe you dreamed of visiting. Like now I said, I need to go have tea at the Ritz-Carlton in London. And it's transformative. And this book literally takes you places. So I enjoyed it and I encourage others to read it as well.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.